Good morning. Welcome to another episode of Weekly Spark. I want to talk about transfers using gel medium this time. Any brand is fine. I love supporting my local brick and mortar Jerry's. You can use gloss or matte, but the heavy body gel is what you want for this. This transfer technique works with either a toner-based copy, like a Xerox, or a laser print. This does not work with an inkjet. So here I have an image that is much more complex than I'm going to want to draw, right? So this is what I'm going to use to start this image transfer. I'm transferring onto this piece of paper that has a little fiber in it, which I really like. But you want the paper to be heavy enough that it's going to be able to get wet, because the second part of this is actually using water to kind of erode this paper from the original image away. So I'm going to cover this, the face of the image, with a good layer of the gel medium. I don't want it to be too thick that it squishes out. I don't want there to be any clumps of, hardened gel medium from the inside or the, edges of the container. I'm going to put this face down. Think of it like you were, applying a sticker, a bumper sticker. Going to make contact and then spread it out so that it's smooth and there are no bubbles. Now, I like to grab a brayer and just really go over this a couple of times to make sure that it is firm, free of bubbles, free of wrinkles. You can use your hands, you can use the back of a spoon, but you want to try and keep it from sliding once it's made contact. Now, as this dries, this paper is going to curl up a little bit, and that's fine. That's not something to be worried about. But I'm going to give this at least 12 hours, preferably overnight, and then come back to do the second part of this, which is kind of rubbing this paper off. Then I'm going to have my image transferred onto my yummy paper, and I'll be able to collage that into a piece. Since I had enough room, I think I'll do this female figure as well. You do want to try and not get any of the gel medium on the back of your Xerox or the back of your laser print, because you don't want that to prevent, the water from absorbing in when you go to rub the paper off in part 2. Another reason why I like doing image transfers onto a different paper, I could have done this onto a watercolor paper, and then once I finish the transfer, I can go in and hand tint an image. On any paper, I could go in with colored pencils. This paper would take a light layer of watercolor. And yes, that is my dog's squeaky toy you hear in the background. But for right now, I'm going to let this dry and come back to this tomorrow to show you part 2. So stay tuned. So here we are, the next day, and these are completely dry. So let me show you how this works. The paper kind of comes off in 2 layers. The first layer, the bulk of it, you can see rolling off in these large curls. While the paper then here is wet, it looks like the image is really clear. There's a tendency for this to dry and have a little bit of a haze or a film over it, in which case I will go in with a little water on my finger and try and give it another gentle rub. With this gel medium transfer on paper, I mentioned that it needs to be a paper that you're transferring onto, which is heavy body enough, heavy weight enough, you know, substantial enough to take this moisture and not completely fall apart. You can do this onto canvas, whether it's, you know, just a fine piece of like cotton or muslin, or a piece of even canvas drop cloth. Works really well onto canvas. If you're doing that, you're going to want to tear your fabric down to size first, so that you can get those nice torn edges and not stretch the transfer once it's dry. Because remember, you know, a gel medium transfer, it's acrylic, it's plastic. When this is done, the paper is going to need to dry at least 12 hours or, you know, overnight, till I can glue it down into a page spread. But you can see little fuzzies that are still kind of on there, but then a pretty good clarity of image. I went ahead and sped up the rest of this process for you, just trying to hold the paper taut between my fingers while I gently rubbed away the back of the original Xerox print. So we're going to call that one done for now. Looks pretty clear. Yes, it's wet, and so there might be some fuzzies that I want to go back in and work with a little bit later. You can kind of see some haziness here over this part of the image, and there's definitely more clarity here around Athena's head, that main focus. When it's dry, a lot of these little clingy bits will brush off a lot easier as well. So that is part 2 of the gel medium transfer. I am going to keep talking about different transfers throughout this month, so please stay tuned for more videos. As always, if you wanted to like or subscribe or, you know, hit the notification bell, all those YouTube things, that really does help the, you know, the algorithms and all that stuff about the social media. So stay tuned for more. Thanks for tuning in, and I will see you again next week for another episode of Weekly Spark.